Welcome to The Big Conversation here on Unbelievable with me, Justin Briley. The Big Conversation is a series of shows exploring faith, science, philosophy and what it means to be human in association with the Templeton Religion Trust. Today, our conversation topic is the psychology of belief and do we need God to make sense of life? Well, the Big Conversation partners I'm sitting down with today are Jordan B. Peterson and Susan Blackmore. Jordan Peterson is a professor of psychology at the University of Toronto and author of the new book, 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos. Jordan rose to prominence in 2016 when his stance on free speech and the threat of legal action for refusing to use transgender pronouns created a media storm. But since then, many new people have discovered his academic work, including a very popular lecture series on the psychology and wisdom of ancient Bible stories. And his new book, 12 Rules for Life, distills much of the wisdom into a guide to leading a meaningful life. Our other guest is Susan Blackmore. She's a psychologist, lecturer, and author of books on consciousness and evolutionary psychology, including The Meme Machine and Seeing Myself, the New Science of Out-of-Body Experiences. And she views many forms of religion as fundamentally negative for human flourishing. She's written, for instance, that religions are an example par excellence of memeplexes that use wicked tricks to ensure their own survival. Well, today we'll be looking at the psychological roots of faith beliefs. Can we make our own rules for life, or are we subject to some higher level of meaning? And are even atheists fundamentally religious deep down? I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. So, Susan and Jordan, welcome along to the programme.
Thanks.
Great to have you.
Thank you, Justin.
We'll start with you, Jordan. You're a hard man to categorise in many ways. Your work actually attracts attention from both believers and non-believers, and many of whom say that you've actually made them reconsider their views about religion, especially many atheists that I've heard on, who've said your work opens up things in a new way. Do you just tend to describe yourself as a religious man at all?
I would definitely describe myself as a religious man, yeah. I think that's fundamentally true. The devil's in the details. So what does that mean exactly?
I've seen you've been asked the question, do you believe in God? And that's not a question you necessarily find it terribly easy to answer.
Well, I don't know what people mean when they say believe. Like it's as if that question explains itself when it's asked. It's like it doesn't. What do you mean by believe? What do you mean by God? And what makes you think that the question that I'm answering is the same one that you're asking? If this is not something that you can say yes or no to in any straightforward manner. So I find it an off-putting question. And I don't think it's because I'm avoiding the issue. I think that to answer it properly requires books and lectures. So,
do you see yourself at least in the Christian tradition as far as your, I suppose, worldview?
There's no doubt about that because I'm a Westerner. There's no escape from that.
Yeah.
I'm conditioned in every cell as a consequence of the Judeo-Christian worldview. And so I've read a fair bit in other religious traditions and have a reasonable grasp on some of them, I would say, not trying to overestimate my knowledge. But